Good day everyone, I am Shamabel Pedraza and right now we will talk about the classes, voice, and mood of the verb. So first let us know what is verb. Verbs are words that express actions or state of being. A verb is a part of a sentence that tells us what the subject performs. So these are the classifications of verbs. First, the intransitive and transitive verb, prepositional verb, regular and irregular verb, finite and non-finite verb, impersonal verb, auxiliary verb, modal verb, and linking verb. So those are the classifications of verb, and let us just have an overview about it because some of it will be discussed by the next reporter. First, we have the transitive verb. Transitive verb is a verb that takes an object. It includes the receiver of the action in the sentence. It uses direct object or a noun to finish the meaning. And the intransitive verb does not entail a direct object. It contrasts with the transitive verb. The intransitive verbs only indicate a complete action without being accompanied by a direct object. Next is prepositional verb. Prepositional verb requires a prepositional phrase to complete. So, what is prepositional phrase? A prepositional phrase is a group of words consisting of preposition, its object, and any words that modifies the object. So that is prepositional verb. Next one, we have regular verb. Regular verb is also known as weak verb. It conforms to usual rule forming its simple past tense and past participle. The usual rule of regular verb is to add ed, d to the base form of the verb. And the irregular verb, that is a verb that don't take on the regular d, ed, or ied spelling patterns of the past simple or past participle. It is also known as strong verb, so that is contrast with the regular verb. Next one, we have finite verb. Finite verb can be main verb of this sentence. Its form is determined by the subject and person of the subject. And non-finite verb. Non-finite verb is a form of a verb that does not act like a verb. It is also known as the verb. It is known as the verb type needed to form at least one sentence. Non-finite verb cannot be main verb. So there are three types of non-finite verbs: the infinitives, gerunds, and participles. And those will be discussed by the next reporters. The next is auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb is a verb that adds function or grammatical meaning to the clause. It is used with the main verb to help express the main verb's tense, moods, or voice. It is also known as helping verbs. Next is linking verb or copula verb. Linking verb or copula verbs connects the subject of a sentence with a word that gives information about the subject, such as condition or relationship. Next is modal verb. The last one. Modal verb is a kind of auxiliary verb. It assists the main verb to indicate possibility, potentiality, ability, permission, expectation, and obligation. So those are the classifications of verb. And now let us continue to verb's voice. So the voice of the verb tells whether the subject of the sentence performs or receives the action. Voice have active and passive voice. Although there are two types of voice, the active and the passive voice. In the active voice, the subject performs the action, but in the passive voice, the subject is the one who receives the action. For example of that is, Lara knocked over the lamp. And in the passive voice, it will become, the lamp was knocked over by Lara. In active voice, as you can see, in active voice, Lara is the subject who knocked over the lamp. And in the passive voice, Lara is not the subject anymore. but it is the lamp who is the subject in the passive voice. Another example is, I am holding the baby, and the baby is held by me. Which one is the passive and the active voice in these sentences? The active voice in the sentence is the one on the top, and the passive was on the bottom. So as you can see, in the active voice, I is the subject, and the baby is the one who receives the action, or the subject, or the object. But in the passive voice, the baby is now the subject, and me, who is become, I, who become me, is not the subject anymore. So let's take note also that there are changes in some words, or in the subjects in the word, in some words in active and the passive voice. For example of that is this. If in the active voice it is I, it will be going to be me in the passive voice. If in the active voice it is he, it will become him on the passive voice. And let us take a screenshot of this example so that we will not be confused next time. So let's continue to mood. There are three types of mood: the indicative mood, imperative mood, and subjunctive mood. First, let's talk about indicative mood. So indicative mood is used to express a fact statement. The verb in the indicative mood express an action as a statement of fact. For example of that is this: he walks every day after lunch. Or, do you believe in God? He always attends meeting. In the sentence, he walks every day after lunch, we have there the verb walks, which describes what the subject is doing, or which is the he who walks every day after lunch. So walk describes or tells a fact about he, that he walks every day after lunch. So that is the indicative mood. So how about the imperative mood? Imperative mood expresses an order or a request, or an advice, encouragement, instruction, suggestions to do a thing. It has an understood subject you, which is a second person verb. For example of that is, write clearly, read it out loud, speak nicely, behave gently. We have there, in the sentence, read it out loud, we have the verb read that suggested the second person to read out loud. To make it clear, I, who said read it out loud, is the first person, or the first person. And the one that I have been told, read it out loud, is the second person. So in imperative mode, it has an understand subject you, or a second person. So that is imperative mood. So let's move on to subjunctive mood. So subjunctive mood express wish, desire, hope, possibility, doubt, or uncertainty. It expresses suggestions and demands. For example of that is, if I were the king, you would be queen. Or, I doubt whether Mona would come. Next one is, if today were Friday, I could have attended the program. So that is subjunctive mood. It expresses doubt, possibility, and uncertainty. So I hope I hope you understand my report, and that is all. I hope you enjoy, and thank you for listening.